Hello out there, we're on the air, it's hockey night tonight. Tension grows, the whistle blows, and the puck goes down the ice. The goalie jumps and the players bump and the fans all go insane. Someone roars, Bobby scores at the good old hockey game. Oh, the good old hockey game is the best game you can name. And the best game you can name is the good old hockey game.
Hockey Fan Report! Aloha and mahalo and welcome to the show. I am Guy the Hawaii Blues fan, and this is the show, the program that is by fans, for fans, and you got to know all about you, the fans. Yes, we are here today. He is here. I don't know why he's saying late. He usually shows up 10 minutes before we start the show. He's never late. Man. Wow, what an interesting day. The Blues are in Denver. That's right. They are in Denver, Colorado, playing Stan Kroenke's team tomorrow in game number 81. It is the last game against the Central Division team. The Wild will play tomorrow. I think they play Phoenix tomorrow, and then they have Calgary. And then when we play on the last day of the season, when we play the Knights, they play the Avs. Right now the ball's in their court, right? Home ice is in their court. There's really nothing the Blues can do about home ice but play their game. Right? You play your game, and you let the chips fall where they may. If the Blues are upset about home ice, well, they have only themselves to blame. Right? I mean, it's that plain and that simple. They have only themselves to blame. They had a chance to put away the Wild, and they let them go to overtime. And that one point is enough right now keep them out of it. It was a huge point. If the Blues don't give up that point, it's a different story. It's a really different story. So we'll kind of see. It's going to go one of a couple different ways. Whether or not, and home ice, we've debated this a couple of times to how much it matters. And honestly, I don't know. Right? Everyone wants to go talk about 19. The Blues won 10 road games. Well, that was a record. It doesn't happen all the time. It doesn't happen as much as everyone thinks it does. Teams up until last season, you have to go all the way back to like 90 or 2013 to find a team, or even further back to find a team that won on home ice. Actually, I think the 13 Hawks won on the road. I'm not completely sure. I'd have to ask Wendy about that. But you've got to go away. Last year was the first year in a long time. Yeah, there you go, E. I had like 10 minutes, a half hour before the show. He's ready for the show. That's all that it is. Right? It just comes down to, right, being ready to do what you got to do. Tomorrow against the Avalanche, right? The Avalanche have some guys hurt. They should be back for the playoffs. Okay. Right? The Avalanche are the Avalanche. And you can't look past the Wild. Now, do I think the Blues can beat the Wild? I absolutely do. Right? I might be, maybe I'm not the only one. Maybe there's others. I think that the Wild and the Blue match up very well. And as of late, the Blues have the Wild's number. Did the Wild get some of that out of their head in that game where they came back and lost in overtime? Absolutely they did. So that does change the equation a bit, right? Every variable changes the equation. And that's something to learn and understand. Different variables are happening. You have Shin, who's slightly hurt. You have Krug, who's slightly hurt. We don't know how bad. We don't know what variable, how that variable changes the equation. We really don't. Joshua sent down, Bozak back. That's two variables that change the equation. We don't know how much they change the equation. Both Walker or both Joshua had good games against the Wild. Everyone else has had good games against the Wild. Look, I'll tell you what. You want to know who's going to start first round of the playoffs? Who starts tomorrow? That's what it's going to be. Whoever starts in goal tomorrow will start game one in the playoffs. I'm almost dead certain of it. Right? The latest that the Blues will start will be the 3rd, right? Tuesday, right? I see the there's 8 matchups. Usually 4 to 5 of them start the first day and the rest start the next day. Very rare does someone go 3 days. The only way someone would not start until the 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th would be if there was an arena issue, right? And really, the NHL doesn't they tell these arenas that this week to not schedule anything this week, right? So when it comes to that there shouldn't be an arena issue per se. So we should see the Blues be able to get out there and do what they want to do. Well, hey guys, why not join us on the show? Tell me what you're thinking. I want to hear from you. What have you got to say? What do you think? What's on your mind today as we talk about the Blues and the Wild and the Avalanche? And right now, the Blackhawks are up 2-1 on the Flyers with 15:55 to go in the second. It's been a chippy game. A lot of things going on. The NHL in the last week can be very interesting. There are guys definitely playing for their careers right now. You have guys that are absolutely playing for their playoff lives. They're playing for for everything, right? I'm not. I look at it and I wonder what's the best way to go. Oh, hold on. There we go. What's going to be best for everybody? What's going to be best for the Blues? What's going to be best for the Habs, or not the Habs, for the other divisions, for the other teams? There's a lot going on here. Guys playing for careers, guys playing for contracts. A lot can be determined in the last couple of games of the season. And if you remember, we talked to Tony Twist, and Tony talked about that a little bit, where his at the end there, where he was gets told that the Blues aren't going to bring him back. That's got to have an effect somewhat. That's got to play on you a little bit, I think. You hope it doesn't, but it does, and that's just one of the many things that happens in this last week of the season. Playoff positioning, right? Out of playoff positioning right now. Where the Blues end up, where they end up, where other teams end up, matchups. This is important. We talked a little bit. I was hoping I was going to get joined by Ashley or Lance. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the playoffs, right? And about the what do you call it? The playoff format, right? They think it should be. They heavily agree that it should be the top 16 teams, and that conferences shouldn't matter. So if by some exorbitant reason all 16 teams in the East were better than all 16 teams in the West, only the 16 teams in the East should play for it. I don't agree with that. right? I really don't agree with that. In the East right now, the East has had a little bit better of a, the East has really good teams at the top, really bad teams at the bottom. In the middle, that would be questioning. So if I went, and I'm going to go right now, and I'm going to pull up the standings, and I want to look at the overall top 16, right? I'm going to bring up the top 16, and we're going to cover top 16, and we're going to see, and I don't think anybody I think everybody in the top 16 is making the playoffs. I don't think anybody outside of the top 16 is making the playoffs. However, to have them just play wherever, I see issues with that. I really do. Here we go. Got to hit the right button, hit conference instead of league, because I'm like, Montreal was at 16th. How the hell that happened? Okay, so looking at all 16 teams currently, all 16 teams would be in the playoffs, right? The 17th team would be Vegas, 18th would be Vancouver, 19th Winnipeg, 20th the Islanders, 21st Columbus. Now, here's somewhat of the issue, right? Let's take number 16 Dallas. Well, let's say Vegas gets that 16 spot. Vegas would play Florida, right? You would have games on the East Coast and the West Coast. And to be honest, the NHL only wants that during the finals, and the worst they want is East Central. They don't want that cross country. They don't want that flip-flopping game starting at 9 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night. They absolutely don't want that. And if you remember, games out in San Jose for the Blues would start for the Western Conference Finals would start at like 8 o'clock, only an hour later than normal. So they would start an hour earlier than normal in San Jose. So that does have something to do with it. So what would the playoffs be if it was 1v16 and so forth? So you would have Florida play Dallas, Nashville would play Colorado, which could possibly happen. Carolina would play Pittsburgh. Boston would play Toronto. Minnesota. No, I think I screwed up. Let's see. No, I screwed up somewhere. I jumped. I screwed up somewhere. Yeah, this is hard. So Dallas would play Florida. Colorado would play Nashville. Los Angeles would play Carolina. Toronto would play Edmonton. That would be a good matchup for the NHL, right? The Capitals would play Minnesota. St. Louis would play Pittsburgh. Boston would play Calgary, and then the Rangers would play Tampa Bay. For me, I personally don't like that at all, right? I see a lot of different things. I see a lot of different longer travel times. That's got a lot to do with it too. The travel, they want to cut. They've been wanting to cut the travel down, so that has a lot to do with it. What happened to the West starting one day and the East starting the second day, or vice versa? It all depends, because I think they want to. They try and strike it out. They want games. They want 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock Eastern Standard Time starts. They want 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time starts. They want those West games. They want to get those games in the prime areas for the home team. So that's got a lot to do with it. They'll never match up East teams versus West teams before the finals because of travel expense. Well, they've done it in the past, right? They've done it in the past, and that was something that Ashley and Ashley and Lance brought out the other day, and it was what they thought it should be. Got that. Let me see. I'm trying to. Oh, I got Dante. Hey, Dante, you need to look on that post and make sure you click on the thing where it says I'm going live using StreamYard. Before leaving a comment, please grant StreamYard permission to see your name. If you click on that, then I can see who you are. Makes it a little bit easier for me. But I appreciate having all you guys here. I made 5 of you guys go away. I guess you don't want to talk to me, but that's fine. That's who you are and what you are, and we'll keep doing what we do here on the Blue Note Fan Report, or the Hockey Fan Report. We'll keep talking about the matchups. We'll keep talking about what's the game tomorrow against the Avalanche is very interesting to me, right? And the reason that I say that it's interesting is there's a lot can be told. So the last time that the Blues played the Avalanche, they lost very late in the game in October. Well, here it is 6 months later, and they're two totally different teams. You have one team that has absolutely nothing to play for, and you have another team that has something to play for. Not a whole lot to play for, but something to play for. These are two teams that could very easily, and actually that's the interesting thing here. Colorado's last 2 games are against teams that they could easily see in the second round, right? So Colorado can't just do what everyone thinks they're going to do and lay back and not do anything, right? They've got to make sure that they don't give these teams hope, right? My favorite TV show, Ted Lasso, they had an episode called It's the Hope That Kills You. And I don't agree with that. You know what? They are resting some players, and I think it could, especially with who the last 2 games are against, come back and bite them in the butt, right? You're going to have you have 2 teams that have you in their sights, and when teams have you in their sights, you need to do the best you can to put doubt in their minds. And you don't do that by just getting it off, right? Yes, we can, Dante. Thank you. You probably need to do that every time when I put it in that group. If I put it directly in the group like that. Berube said he played Mikkola to get him some ice time in case they need him in the playoffs. I can see that. Mikkola played really good. Mikkola was, Mikkola to me played a lot better than Rosen. He might need some. He played better defensively than Rosen. That's for sure. And in that series against Colorado, if we get there, he's definitely going to need it. Hit the boards with his knee last night. Happened right in front of me. No, I didn't see it, Ryan. Unfortunately, I don't think the cameras were on it when it happened. He didn't come back, and I haven't heard any update on him. So I haven't heard if he's day to day, week to week, where he's at. And again, having Mikkola and Rosen in might not be a bad thing. The Blues have a pretty veteran defensive core, right? When 4 of your 6 guys have the experience that they have, you've got to understand. You got to understand that they've got that leadership they need. Bertuzzo got up like it didn't happen. Mikkola played great last night. He broke up some rushes coming into our zone. He broke up a couple of solid rushes coming into our zone. He broke up a rush that Eichel couldn't break up that costed a goal, right? Eichel costed a goal. Now, I will say this, for the most part, Husso played good. I put one of the goals on Husso, right? The third one I don't. The third one to me was a gimme. That was you knew Getzlaf was either going to get a point or a goal late in the game when you're up 6-2, right? Because the goal meant nothing, right? Other than stats, it meant absolutely nothing. So I didn't have a problem with that goal. I don't even count it against Husso. I don't count it against anybody actually, right? So for me, I thought Husso played well, right? I think Bennington is playing very well. It's going to come down tomorrow. I'm so used to watching games on TV. I was watching the Bushnevich goal on the jumbo screen when it happened in front of me, and I looked like my coworker and called myself an idiot. Ryan, I would never call you an idiot. And you know what? When I'm at games, sometimes I do that. Right? When the action doesn't, when it's hard to follow the action, especially if I'm close, I will find myself looking up. Right? Just to get my bearings on everything. If I'm high up, no, I'm looking straight down because I can see everything so much better. Right? That's why you hear a lot. You hear a lot, and I don't mean this against anybody, but you hear a lot. The true fans are in the upper levels. That's not absolutely true, but I do know guys, I do know people that can afford tickets in the lower levels that sit higher so they can see more. Right? So, that's something that's kind of going on with that. Guys, where are your comments at? I mean, the last week I've had comment after comment and I'm getting nothing. Just say hi. If you're watching, I got 8 people watching. Let me get 8 highs. Right? Give me a high. Right? Say hi. Let me know that you're here. If you're watching on Facebook, give me a little like. Give me a little thumbs up. Let me know that you're enjoying the show. I got 4 watching on Facebook and 4 watching on YouTube. I got Dante Inferno is here saying hi to me. I appreciate that, Dante. How you doing? I'm watching the Chicago game, and these guys are not playing like there's nothing on the line. Oh, new one. Robert Run. I don't think I've seen you before. Hi from Boston, a Bostonite, a Bruins fan. Appreciate you, bud. Appreciate you. Got E. Guido. Hey, E. Always with you. Always appreciate you, E. Brian. I can't tell anyone how cool it was to see the speech after the game for Getzlaf and watching him leave the ice for the last time. Even he was milking it. And emotional. Yeah, I thought it was neat. I thought it was neat how they did it. I like what they did. I remember after Brett Hull got his 500 goal. From St. Louis, stuck in Boston. Okay, so a Blues fan. There we go. I have Boston fans. That's what's surprising. I do have Boston fans. We all know that. So I remember when Brett Hull got his 500th goal. The celebration for that, they gave him a golf cart. Right, the Blues team went out and bought him a golf cart. I know Hull is a pretty heavy golfer, so I've heard stories about him and the boys playing golf, during things and all of that. I used to play golf. I don't anymore. I sold my clubs. It wasn't worth it to me. I get so frustrated out there playing that. I watch people get better and better, and I couldn't. So that is what it is. What's up with Shin? I don't know. I think it's it might be one of them things. You know what? Things just don't feel right. Let's sit you out. We don't need you. Right? We can wait. We can give you a couple of days to rest. Things like that. AC generator saying the wolves. Are the waves. Talking about the waves. I'm not sure what that's for there. AC. I know that the Springfield Thunderbirds are in the playoffs for the first time ever. I don't think that's an old team. I think they're pretty much of a new team. You golf like Happy Gilmore, just slamming the clubs like you're breaking rocks. Yeah, I do actually. He may show up, but I don't know. But I tell you what, Chris, you have an assignment, right? I don't know if you have one of my cards or not, but if you do, make copies of it and make sure that every alumni gets one and gets and tell them about the show, right? Tell them about the show, and I know you're representing the Warriors, but I don't think anybody, because the Warriors support the show, so I would think it has them waves high. Okay, I get it now. Sorry, AC, my head wasn't there. I apologize about that. But that's your job, Shocky. I didn't see your sign green. If you took one, I forgot to ask you if you took a sign yesterday. All right. Well, Philadelphia is in the box for 2 minutes. Chicago on the power play with 3:44 to go in the second, and the score is still 2-1. Where are we at? Who's talking to me? Oh, I got a like from Robert Rudd. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. I forgot. Yeah, okay. Okay. Thanks, Ryan. Love you, bud. Oh, he knows I'm joking with him. Ryan's been a good supporter of this show. I appreciate it. And Ryan supports the group, our St. Louis Blues. We were pushing it for a while. We stopped. I think Ryan might push it a little more. We'll try and get more people in there. It was a group for the show. I have the BlueNote fan. I have the Hawaii STL Blues Fan Clan. If you didn't know about that, you can join that group. It's a pretty interesting group. You guys have put some interesting stuff in there. In fact, I just showed something that was from that group in there just recently. I've seen this before. I thought it was kind of cool. Let me see if I can bring it up again. Right, I've seen this before, and I kind of like it. I think I saw Gary Younger put this up once. Right, I think that's who it was. I know Gary coaches youth hockey, so I know he coaches his grandsons a lot. And he was working in junior hockey, I think, a little bit. He may not be in junior hockey anymore, but so here it is, and this sign is great. I love it. Let me put it up here. It says every athletic team should have a man who plays every position, never makes an error, and knows just what the opposition is planning. But so far, there's been no way to get him to put down his popcorn and Coke and come down out of the stands. Well, you know what? If the Blues wanted me to help them, I would do it in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat, man. I love this team. I love reporting about this team. I love the things that we do, that I try and do for this team. I know they don't love me, but you know what? Sometimes love does in a two-way street. Sometimes it's only a one-way street. And that's just fine with me, right? If they don't want to give me the love back, that's on them, right? I can take it and do what I want to do, and say what I need to say, and say what I want to say, and how I want to say it, and it is what it is, right? Ashley should be along shortly. Lance may not be feeling good today. I know he may have gotten some treatment today, so that's okay. I was hoping Maddie might show up. You guys got to all go to Matt and tell him how much he's missed on the show. He kind of felt like he doesn't bring enough to the show, especially on game days. And the last game day got crazy, and that's why I wasn't able to bring him. There were four of us. There was a lot going on, shorter show, with the Getzlaff thing. And I didn't mean to leave him out, and he felt left out a little bit. And I apologize to him, but I hope he can come back. All I can tell, sales and recruiting is not my thing. I couldn't sell a free 5-course meal to a homeless man. Oh, Shockey, I know you better than that, bud. And I know how much you love the show. Simply telling guys that you'd love to see them on the Blue Note Fan Report is all you got to do. And when they say, "What's that?" you tell them, right? Well, it's my buddy Guy. He's got his own show. He's talked to Mike Zook. Mike Zook should be there. Talk to Bruce Affleck. Talk to some of the guys like that. Let's see. I got to reach out to Jeff Brown. I know we've tried to get him on a couple of times. I'm pretty sure if I reach back out to him, I might be able to get him. And we've had a few good ones. Terry Yake's been on. We had, and if you did not see the show that I did with Tony Twist, oh my goodness, you got to go back and watch that. I would have been a drill. I wasn't a drill instructor. I was an instructor though. Right. I actually wanted to be a company commander, what the Navy calls company commanders. I really would have enjoyed that. Oh, wow, man. That's cool. Yeah, Bruce takes care of the Warriors. Bruce really, really does. And I appreciate what he does for the Warriors and all of that. And he Bruce takes care of me. I really appreciate him and all he does. Bruce does a wonderful job with that alumni and with that alumni suite they have there. It was absolutely just a great place to be at, They really, really take care of it. And it was fun for me, really fun for me to be there when I was there. Where are we at? Who we got? Shocky. Waiting for Ashley to jump in here in a little bit. I'm still watching the Chicago-Philadelphia game. Chicago is on a power play for the next 34 seconds. They're up 2-1. And good shot, but missed the net. Philly should have been a better team this year, right? Philly should have absolutely been a better team this year. The Islanders should have been a better team. I was trying to think what teams made the playoffs last year that didn't make it this year. And surprisingly, everybody in the East made the playoffs last year. But two teams in the East didn't make the playoffs. The Islanders did not make the playoffs, and the Canadiens did not make the playoffs. Every other team in the East that was in the playoffs made the playoffs. Now, in the West, they had a couple of teams not make the playoffs. Dallas didn't make the playoffs last year. They made it this year. Let's see, who else? Calgary didn't make the playoffs last year. They made it this year. And then I think that's it. Yeah. Now Vegas is the question mark. Vegas is the one that did make the playoffs last year. They could switch that. And then LA didn't make the playoffs last year. In the Central, every team in the Central that is in the playoffs this year, with the exception of the Wild, made the playoffs last year. Because of that, no, Philadelphia went right back, or Chicago was right back on the power play. But every team that was, just because of the divisions were so scrambled last year, it's changed that. Lance, we always want you on, bud. We always could have you on. I wanted to talk a little bit more about the playoffs and would it be good? And I wanted to go over what, as of today, what the playoff matches would be and how it would work if you went that way, right? Yes, the Hawks and Philly are the only game on tonight. Thoughts on Eichel? I'm glad he's not on the Blues, right? I think he is a cancer. I don't think he's worth the money. There are way... Yeah, Wendy's watching the game. I sent the link earlier, Lance, man. The Jack Eichel to me is Jack Eichel is what Tony Twist was talking about, right? Jack Eichel is one of those guys that it just feels like he plays for the name on the back instead of the name on the front, right? Now, the comments that he made in Buffalo, be honest with you, I don't have an issue with them. I really don't. In fact, I thought it was very, I thought it was refreshing to hear them. I thought that hearing a guy go out and saying what he said, and not coaches speak or players speak, but saying, hey, this is how I feel, right, was just perfect, right? I loved it. I think I wish he would do it more, right? I really do. I just, I wish more players would. The bulletin board material, that is what it is. I remember, I want to say 91. I think it was 91. It was 15 years, so it might have been 92. When the Blues were in the Western Conference Finals against the Avalanche, right? And after that game, after the game, I think it was game 5, it was a game in St. Louis, game 5 or game 6. I can't remember which game. Now, I was underway at the time, so I got this all secondhand. I was on a deployment, right? I was on a deployment. Would that have been 92, 91, 92, somewhere around there? I think so. Actually, no, 01. No, I take that back. It was 02. 2002. I had to remember 2002. It would have been 2002. They kept chanting, "We don't need you" to Tavares at first, but they don't care. Isn't it life beautiful? Buffalo just like the Islanders were about losing Tavares. And that is what it is. It had look that the Eichel thing. First of all, Eichel had bodies, good bodies in Buffalo. He had Taylor Hall, first number 1 overall pick, just like him, and they couldn't do anything. Right? Taylor Hall bet on himself, went there, and Eichel didn't help. Right? I mean, that's how I feel about it. If you're not going to help, like, I'm sorry, the things with Eichel, and I know he had some injury issues, and I know there were other things, and I know that Buffalo does not have a good owner. But when it comes down to it, Eichel has not shown 1 ounce to me that he's a team player. Right? Not 1 ounce. Not 1 ounce. And that's why, and if the Buffalo faithful want to be upset, that's fine. They have every right to be upset. Let's welcome in Mr. Lance Scott from the Drop.
How are you today, Guy?
I am good, Lance. I am good. How you doing, man? I wasn't sure if you had a procedure today or something, so I wasn't sure what your status was, my friend.
No, nobody else was feeling good in the house, so I had to run and get some dinner at a grocery store, and now my wife's cooking it, so that's why I didn't get it.
Oh, no issues, man. No issues. None at all, Does the organization have anything to do with it, or is it always the players because that's the face of the organization is the players? Actually, no, the organization has a lot to do with it, right? Sometimes the players will win in spite of the organization.
Yes.
And we have a wonderful example of that in Mr. Harry Ornest.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you have read Bernie's book,
it's a great book.
I haven't read all of it. I've read
great book.
Yes, it is a good book. I have it. It's in my collection. I have it signed, actually. Someone got it signed for me. It was a birthday present for my 50th birthday.
I remember.
All right. And when you look at this organization overall, right? Mm-hmm. In that period, Harry Ornest was about cutting costs.
Mm-hmm.
He did everything he could to cut cost.
Mm-hmm.
However, one place he didn't cut costs was players. Right? He got the players that team needed to win. And he got them there. He got them there in that period in 86. Right? I think it was 86. They went to the conference finals, and then he sold them the next year. He got them profitable, and he sold them. And
he bought him in what, 83? 80, I think it was 83.
Yeah. Right? So had him for 3 years. Right? And that was what it came down to, So they played in spite of him, though at the same time, he got guys that could play. Now, it was a different era in 80s, right? When you had a bad organization, first of all, there weren't a lot of teams. If you had a bad organization, you just played.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'll give you a prime example of this, and I wish Wendy was here. The Blackhawks. The Wirtz family are one of the worst owners, and they were the worst owners out for the longest time.
Well, we also can't forget the owners of the Hartford Whalers. Because
Whalers
they
too,
were
right?
really, if it wasn't for that ownership, if a different ownership would have had that team, they may have stayed in Hartford instead of going to Carolina.
Yeah, I don't know. There's some other things there, but
yeah, there were, but they weren't a good ownership group. And you're right, yeah. Harry Ornest bought the Blues to build them up and to sell them.
It was a business decision,
mm-hmm.
right? It was a business decision. I'm going to own them just long enough to make a profit.
Yep.
And that's all that was, just own them long enough to make a profit. And that happens. That if that's what you're out for, that's what you're out for. Okay, actually, I've given this a lot of thought. Oh, no, he was not a good owner. Right? He was not a good owner. Let me rephrase that. he was not a good owner to his fans, right? He wouldn't put games on TV, right? He wouldn't put local games on local TV. The stadium, that stadium, right? This man had the money to build a new stadium and absolutely held that over the city of Chicago. You build us a new stadium, and you build Jerry Reinsdorf a new stadium with the Bulls, because he owned the Bulls, right? Well, we're leaving, right? They got together and just said, you either do this or we're leaving. For him, the team was fun, right? I think I've heard that they made their money in bottle ships, right? Distributor ships, right? That's where they made their money and all of that. I think that Arizona doesn't need to move. I really think if Arizona got good owners, and some solid backing by the NHL, and they've got some pretty good backing, they need a little bit more. They could get hockey popular in Arizona. Now, Arizona is an interesting city. It's a different city, and it's kind of like LA. And now for you and me, and Ryan can answer this, right? For me, there is no difference between Anaheim and LA. None. They're the same city to me, right? I don't live there, though. But people that live there.
I was born in Southern California, lived in Southern California, but the desert. But I also went to see hockey games up there with the Kings. I saw Dodgers games. But people that live there all their lives, they think of it as two cities.
Yes,
they do, because there's two distinctive areas. LA is different than Anaheim. The people in Anaheim,
you have LA County, you have Orange County.
Yep, that's right. Exactly right. And then right butting up next to it is Riverside County.
Yeah. So you've got this. Riverside actually gets in on the other side of the mountains, so that's kind of in the.
But it's close enough, because there are people I know that live in Riverside County, closer to LA on that side of Riverside County, that go to a lot of the games at Anaheim and LA.
That's a good hour and a half drive.
It's no, it's not. No,
it's about it.
Without traffic, it's a 30, 45. With traffic, it's a 3-hour drive.
See, Orange County people would be really pissed to hear you say.
That's what I said. Yeah,
that's the same as LA County. I get that. Okay. Yeah. I get that. However, to me, when I look at it, it's one area. When
it's the same geographical area.
Say again?
It's the same geographical area. Just like people would be pissed at me, sorry for my language, if I put San Jose and San Francisco as the same thing. But they're so close together, they're basically the same city. Different cities, different people, but they're so close together. And that's another thing. Without traffic, you can get there quickly.
Somewhat with this. Well, New York, the Islanders and the Rangers are a little different. Now, New York itself, right, called itself New York, but it has boroughs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
The Islanders are actually, they play on Long Island, right? If I'm correct.
Well, that's basically where their new stadium is going to be, as close as right about Long Island.
Yeah, it's on Long Island.
But for a few years, they played where Brooklyn plays.
Yeah, but Manhattan
different.
It is where what do you call it?
Rangers.
The Rangers play is in Manhattan.
Madison Square Garden. Yeah.
Yeah, Madison Square Garden is in Manhattan, so that's a little bit. Different. I mean, you don't say you're from New York. You say you're from Queens or Brooklyn, or I don't know what the five boroughs are.
It's just like me. I live close enough to St. Louis.
Yeah.
But I tell people, even though I live in Illinois, I'm in St. Louis, because if I don't, every time, Guy, and this is kind of similar sometimes in Hawaii, if you say that you live on Oahu, everybody thinks you live downtown, but that's not true. It's a whole. You live in Honolulu. People, if you tell people where you live and you don't say Honolulu, they automatically think Honolulu. Just like me.
Yeah.
If I don't tell people St. Louis, everybody says hello. Everybody says,
"I will see your daughter in the back. She's doing the eye roll."
Yeah. Everybody says, "Oh, you live in Illinois? You must be next to Chicago." Heck no, I'm not.
Yeah. No, I get it. So what I was trying to get at was with Arizona, right? With Phoenix. You have Phoenix, you have Tempe, and I think there's one other city.
Yeah, and I can't think of the city, but
it's right in that area.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, they're far enough apart that, like, I've driven when I was in Arizona this summer, right in September. I stayed right next to Gila River Arena.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when I went out with my friend Dan's brother, my late friend Dan's brother, we had right across from we had a restaurant right across from Gila River.
Yep.
Right. I mean, I could have walked to it. But that drive's a lot different driving from that airport, from Phoenix International to where that was in.
It's a drive.
In Glendale. Glendale's the other one, right? In Glendale, than it is to go from Lambert to downtown St. Louis.
Yep.
Right. Yep. I will say this one thing about St. Louis. St. Louis is probably one of the few metro areas that is very, very tiny, but the area itself is much larger. Well, that's why metro area.
Yeah, that's why people say, well, St. Louis has only got 285 or 315,000 people. How come they get a football team or this or that? Well, the whole metro area is about 3 million people. There's a lot of people in the metro area.
Right. You have to count. I mean, you're talking about an area that covers central Illinois, probably up to about Springfield.
A little bit lower than Springfield.
Springfield is pretty close to the borderline.
Yeah, but I'm about 15 minutes from Springfield.
People that are, you're that far up? I thought you were closer to Belleville.
I am. I'm about 15, 20 minutes from Belleville. It only takes me, Springfield is 78 miles from where I live. Okay, but I can get there because the speed limit's 75 on the highway.
In an hour. I thought you said 15 minutes.
No, I said 50.
Oh, 50. It sounded like you said 15. I was like, whoa, wait a minute.
I don't drive that fast.
So Springfield's kind of the cut. So the St. Louis area covers from about Springfield all the way down to close to the bottom of the state. Now, when you get to the bottom of the state, you start getting into Memphis a little bit. You get Indiana and a little bit. But for hockey, it covers that area. Now, once you get down around Memphis, you start getting into Smashville. What do you call it? Smashville territory, right? I know, but that's just how it kind of. I
feel dirty though, guy. I'm gonna have to go take a shower after that.
Yeah, I know. But so now then you have on the St. Louis side for hockey, you go all the way to Kansas City, right? I know people in Springfield,
Missouri. Yep.
Joplin, that area. I know guys down in a pitcher's duel. Oh, I love it.
Guys down in Sykeston, Poplar Bluff.
Yeah,
they don't go to a lot of Blues games, but they still go to Blues games.
Even it's probably as close as far as Little Rock, right?
Oh.
So the Blues have this big area that is St. Louis, and that doesn't just cover the Blues. I think it covers football, it covers baseball, and for me now, Ashley doesn't know this. I know you, Ashley. You talked a little about this. You grew up in WGN country. Right? So back in the 80s, there were superstations.
Yep.
Not just on TV, but on radio.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
And there were basically two huge superstations when it came to radio. And especially in the Midwest. You had KMOX and you had WGN. Their frequencies were set so they did not bounce off of each other.
Yep.
Right? So you could get, now WGN was strong enough that during the daytime I couldn't get KMOX. I would get a station out of Milwaukee. But at night I would get KMOX in Chicago.
KMOX was allowed at night to up their signal. And I know people, I remember Guy when I was a kid in the 80s, and Ashley, you can probably remember this too. And Guy, you were here in St. Louis. I used to be able to get KMOX all the way down in Georgia. That's how powerful it was.
Well, it went to the Rockies.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. The AM signal will its strength can be upped, and it would go to the Rock. Prior to there being baseball in Colorado, there were more In fact, you still see it today.
Yep, a lot of them.
You still see it today. There are more Cardinal fans at Rockies games.
Yep.
Than there are Rockies fans, and a lot of that has to do with KMOX.
There's a lot of Cardinals fans in Salt Lake City too.
Yeah. Right. Down in Tennessee. Oh my goodness. When we had the Memphis Redbirds.
Yep.
When I was down there, I was down at Millington, Tennessee for about 2 months going to school before I got stationed in Chicago for my instructor duty. The Cardinal ball cap was everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere. You could buy it. You could buy it everywhere. It was amazing to see all of that. Decatur, Illinois, I got both as a kid, listened to both Cards and Cubs. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. I could see you getting them both. And then you had WGN that ended up becoming a cable superstation for the longest time until they deregulated them. You had Cubs baseball, Cubs in Atlanta, those two, because you had TNT was a superstation at one time, and WGN were superstations. WGN showed the Cubs, TNT showed the Cardinals, and until baseball deregulated that and said, we don't know about this anymore, they broadened their fan bases. It was a smart move, and WGN owned the Cubs for a long time. Still the family that owns them now, so that had a lot to do with it, right? Anheuser-Busch owning the Cardinals, and they owned a part of the Blues while they owned the Cardinals.
A very small part.
It was enough that they were on the board of directors, so it had to be a 10%.
Yeah, but I mean, the only reason they were on the board of directors because they were Anheuser-Busch. If it would have been somebody else that owned 8 or 10%, maybe they would have let them on there. But that's another story.
Yeah, well, that's business and stuff. But so the reason I wanted you both on is I wanted to get more into what we talked about yesterday, right? The playoffs, right? And you guys thinking it should be 1 through 16, no matter what division you're in, no matter what, it should just be 1 through 16. Well, I was looking at some of the matchups today, and some of them I like, some of them I don't. So let's take a quick look at what the matchups would be. We're going to start with 1 to 16 and go to 8 versus 9. The first matchup, Florida would play, and this is if they started today, when I really don't think that Vegas is going to get in. I really don't. They would play Dallas. I kind of am okay with that matchup, not completely. It's not a complete East Coast, West Coast matchup. It's one that you'd rather see during the finals than during the regular season because of travel and that. But I'd say on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd rate this matchup a 6. Lance?
I'd say 7 to 8 because I think Dallas would play them well enough where it wouldn't be a blowout. I think when Dallas can play their game, they're like the Blues. They can beat anybody. I actually think that would be a good series. Florida would probably win it in 5 or 6 games, but I think it wouldn't be as blown out of a series as people think.
4. I say 4 or 5. Ash?
I'm with Lance. I would rate it about an 8. I think it would be an entertaining series. I could see it going about 6 games.
Okay, well, the 15 versus 2 would be Nashville at Colorado.
That would be a great series.
That would be phenomenal.
That
I think
may
Nashville
happen
could
anyway.
take out Colorado.
Yeah, that might happen anyway.
This series might happen anyways, right? So I give that series an 8. Right? The 3 versus 14 would be Carolina against Los Angeles. I give this one a 2. It's East Coast, West Coast in the first round. No one's going to watch it. You're going to have games on at 10 o'clock on the East. It's going to mess with the other series. And then the 2 matchups, it's a sweep to me. I don't think Los Angeles even stands a chance.
I'm looking at it as entertaining, not necessarily how the length is. I think it'd be a 4 or 5 game series. I think it'd be entertaining. Would it be one that I would go out of my way to watch? Probably not. Ashley, what do you think?
I mean, I don't really see an issue with that series. I mean, obviously, LA is not going to win it, but it could still be entertaining if you're a fan for that team or the other team. Yeah, I get what you're saying about the time.
Games are going to be on at 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, that is an issue, but I mean, Guy, with the format now, that's going to be an issue anyway after the on most part after the first series. You're going to get East West in the
No, you
second
won't.
round.
You will not get any East West. You will not get anything. The most that you're going to have is Central West. That's the most. And in fact, that the worst that you could have would be Nashville versus LA. That's the
still,
worst that you could have.
That's still basically almost East Coast, West Coast.
Right? That's the are they in the East Coast time zone?
Nashville?
I don't think so. They're in Central. No, they're in Central.
They're in Central, but still, I mean, I understand for TV watching, an East Coast West Coast series is terrible. And like you said, you start getting these games at 4:30, 6:30, 10:30. I mean, yeah, I don't like those when they do that.
Okay. So then, let's go to the next one. We have the 4 versus 13 matchup. This is my 10. Toronto versus Edmonton.
That would be great. That'd be great.
This is my 10. Of the matchups, this is the one I love.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's McDavid versus Matthews.
Mm-hmm.
This is my 10 series, and they're close enough that the time zones don't matter.
Nope. Mm-mm. Yeah, because Calgary in Alberta is an hour behind the Central time zone. So it would still be a 2-hour difference because you've got Toronto in the East and they're on the East Coast time zone. So it'd still be a 2-hour difference. But man, anything that puts 2 Canadian teams together in the first round, I'm all for it.
Okay, Ashley?
I mean, I have to agree with you. Just that matchup alone and it being 2 Canadian teams, I can see that making a lot of revenue.
Okay. The next one, the 5 versus 12. This is another like a 2 or a 3 for me, is Washington at Minnesota. That does nothing for me. In fact, I think Minnesota
I absolutely disagree.
Wins that one in 2 or 3. Well, you've got Ovechkin hurt. You don't know if he's even going to be there for the first round.
Yeah, but they've got enough talent. They're not like they were years before where they rolled 1 or 2 lines that were really good. I think they've got enough even talent. Now, they don't have – I mean, if Ovechkin's out, they don't have the superstar power on that second line. But the first line is still pretty good with Kuznetsov and a couple of the other guys. Oshie's still there. I mean, he's still doing well, 34 years old. I mean – I don't think it's as bad as you think. I'm somewhere in the middle between you and Ashley. I think it's a 4 or 5.
Okay. I didn't hear what your number on that one was, Ash.
I would give it a 7-8.
Okay. The next one, this is the one that we'll talk about probably the most, would be the 6 versus the 11. And that would put St. Louis, the home team, against Pittsburgh.
Love it, because I want to see Pittsburgh get beat.
I do too. I would rate that one a 10.
Because I think this is Pittsburgh's last hurrah because they're getting old.
I do too, and that's what would scare me. I also think the time zone change is a little bit. It's not a complete. The teams. I mean, Pittsburgh is in the East time zone, but they're not like that far. The travel isn't that far.
Okay, East is only an hour ahead of us, so I would much rather that than we faced San Jose in the second round before, and that was rough.
Yeah. Well, they adjusted those games.
I remember several being a 9 o'clock start.
Yep.
8:30.
I'd have to go back and double check that.
And in 2015, 2016, I know for a fact there were very late games because I had to stay up late.
Well, I know one of them wasn't because I was there for that one, and I do know that Game 6 was. I do know Game 6 was because I was at a friend's house in San Jose at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I know I do know that Game 3 was not a late game because I was shopping at like 4 or 5 in the afternoon. That was like a 4 or 5 in the afternoon game, and I was listening to it on my phone. Right, so that one, I'm pretty sure. I think the only one that was late was Game 6. Right. The next one, the 7-10 matchup. Now, this is the one you guys might like. I kind of don't. Calgary with Boston on the road. For me, This is sits at a 5. I think Boston. I think Calgary's just that much better than Boston. And Boston has some question marks in goaltender that's going to make this an easily. I just don't see it as a fascinating matchup to me. Ash?
I disagree. I think that would be a very fun matchup. I mean, obviously, you want to know what Marchand's doing. And I think that Tkachuk would keep him in line. I think it would be very fun. I would rate it like a 6.5, 7.
Okay, Lance?
Just because, I've never been a huge Boston fan. Of course, we all love Bobby Orr and guys like that, but I think it'd be a 5.
And then the last one, the 8-9. Now, this one has a little bit. I'm okay with this one, but I'm not super okay with it. It is the New York Rangers, the home team, against the two-time defending Cup champion, Tampa Bay Lightning. I'm at a 6 on this one. I'm okay with it, but it doesn't, thrill me. And actually, I think it could happen. No, it couldn't. They're in different divisions. Lance?
Doesn't thrill me, a 5.
Ash?
I mean, it's kind of hard because I'm not really, that big on the East Coast teams yet. So I'm going to have to go with a 5 as well.
Okay, so that's great. Now, we just covered what it would be 1 through 16, right? Now let's cover what if they started today. Now, there could be some small shifts here and there, but I pretty much think that where we're at is what we're going to see. So you would have Carolina, the number 1 seed, facing off against the Capitals, the number 2 wild card. I like that series. I think that's a better series. I think they're very close. I think there's a rivalry involved. I think the fans get involved. I like that one. Lance?
I'd say a 6 or 7, probably 7.
Ashley?
Again, not very excited about East Coast teams, so 5.
Okay. Then you have Florida taking on Boston, with Boston being the away team. Again, this one it has the opportunity to be something, but there's not a natural rivalry there, right?
Mm-hmm.
You guys agree with that?
Yeah, I think it'd be a good series, and the only reason I'd watch it is because of Florida.
Yeah.
Again, I just love hockey, so even the ones I don't like, I'm going to give a 5 or 6.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I'd say a 7.
Here's what makes this playoff, this format, good to me. The number 2-3 in the Metro is the Rangers versus Pittsburgh. There's some animosity there, and it's going to come out.
Yep.
Right, and then the 2-3 in the Atlantic is Toronto versus Tampa Bay. There's animosity there. That's going to come out. Those 2 series, this is why the 2-3s in these series are what I love about it. The fact that you have a Stanley Cup contender going to get knocked out in the first round is good to me. It raises the level of the playoffs.
Yeah.
Now, in the West, Colorado, the number 1 seed, would take on, at the moment, Dallas. So this could flip-flop between Dallas and Nashville. I actually think either one of those is a good series.
I think that either one is a good series because both teams, surprisingly, played well against the Avs. I really feel like this could be an upset because everybody's so high on the Avs that I think that they have lost their momentum right now, that they're not going to catch it, and that Dallas or Nashville could knock them out.
Yeah, they're going to get caught off guard. I look at that too. The other one is Calgary versus either Nashville or Dallas.
Calgary is going to take that one.
It doesn't. It doesn't
I
thrill
don't know.
me.
I think if they get Nashville, I think Nashville can take them down.
Yeah, if they get Nashville, it's going to be one of those. I think that's going to be a 7-game series if they get Nashville.
Yeah. Right, and then you have the 2-3 matchups. We'll talk about the Pacific first. Now, this is the one matchup in all of this that is to me, and it's Edmonton against Los Angeles.
I actually think
Right?
that could be a good close series.
It could, but it has it reads more like it's going to be. This is going to be McDavid's chance to get past the second round.
Yeah, it's
He
true.
passed the first round.
Well, no, because then he's got the Battle of Alberta, and anything could happen in that one, in the second round. So I think this is his chance.
You said to get past the second round. He has to get past the first round first.
Well, I know, but it that's what sets it up. I think if you're looking at this as a chance, McDavid needs to get out of the second round, right? And he does. I mean, I know he shouldn't look. You shouldn't look ahead, but that's important, and it's going to put an emphasis on him. On them playing very well against Los Angeles.
The second round is the problem. He can't get past the first.
Right.
So we can't even think about him getting past the second when I can't even see him getting past the first.
And then this is the matchup. This is the matchup of the playoffs in the first round is either Minnesota or St. Louis with home ice. You know, that to me, that's the 10. Mm-hmm. That's the 10 in all of this.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I'll agree that that's a 10, but in the way that it's set up now, I rated it a lot lower than the standings from the just top 16 teams. I don't get as excited about it. I think that you want to talk about the rivalries that exist now, but the rivalries that could be would open up so much more.
That would, to me, that would only open up if they change. Well, first of all, what I think they need to do, they need to go from 82 to 86 games, and then they need to change how many times you play each team in the East, and then what you play in your division and what you play in the opposite division, right? The two times, only playing each other 2 times, right, is fine for the Cup Finals, but if you're going to make all the playoffs that, only seeing a team twice is not enough. Right? Kyle's letting us know how he feels.
Yes, the Avs can suck Kyle's left nut.
Yeah, and make the right one jealous.
Absolutely.
I bet you haven't heard that in a long time. Popeye with the base hit, 2-0 Cardinals in the bottom of the 8th. Not sure who Popeye is on the Cardinals. That Ariando? Nolan Ariando? I don't know. Oh, Chicago just scored. So 2-1. 3-1, pardon me. I feel arrogant about this team. I can't. Hello. I'm afraid. I'm not afraid for any team.
Jason, people say pride before a fall. I say arrogance before a fall.
Yeah. Kyle, I hate the Avs too, but where's the sportsmanship? You know what? That sportsmanship went out the window with their owner to me. So that's how I feel about that. So it's Tyler O'Neill is Popeye. I didn't know. I don't follow the Cardinals close enough to know all the nicknames.
If you don't want to hate him, you got to think of it this way. He is no longer considered the owner to the NHL. It's his wife who is the owner of the Avalanche on paper.
That's just on paper. Just on paper.
Yeah, but still, he doesn't do much for that team. His main focus is his football team. I can't stand.
Then why does he show up at the games? Why does he show up at the games? Every time the Blues play, he's at the game.
He's at a lot of the
single
games.
Time.
Well, there's other owners of the Avalanche too. He's the main owner, but there are smaller minority owners that go to the games. I mean, I hate Stan Kroenke, but I am so over it. I could care less about it anymore. You know, I got arguments with people about this, with people saying, "Oh, the St. Louis is going to get awarded a franchise," and I kept telling them that they weren't going to get awarded a franchise.
That wasn't going to happen.
And then when it came true that they weren't, crickets. I can't get any of them to respond to me.
Yeah, no, it was. I knew that wasn't going to happen. There was no way they were going to award a free expansion team.
Yeah. Now, if I saw him, if I saw Stan Kroenke on the street, would I make sure that he stepped in a big old pile of poop? Yeah, I would probably make sure of that.
Yeah. Right. I'll tell you what. You want to know? Everyone thinks that St. Louis won that lawsuit. St. Louis didn't win that lawsuit. You know who won that lawsuit?
Kroenke.
No, not even him. The lawyers that represented St. Louis, they won that. 35%. They got $279 million of that $700 million. They got $290 million of St. Louis's money. I'm sorry. I get doing something like that on a percentage basis, I would have never agreed to 35%. I don't care how many years it took. There is no way that they put $100 million into that lawsuit. They made 250% profit on that. They're the only ones that won in that. That $500 million that we get, less than 400 and something million, is going to go nowhere.
Let me tell you who won. And I know this for a fact. A couple of their partners on that law firm are building new houses as we speak, and there are several of them that went and bought some very expensive cars.
Oh yeah.
So I would say that they won, and the car dealerships and the subcontractors and contractors won.
Yeah. They absolutely. Right. Absolutely. That's who won this. Won this. I mean, when I heard that they got 35% of that, my jaw dropped.
That's standard. I mean, that's standard.
No. I'm sorry. This was too big. When you're talking $1 billion lawsuit,
it does. If I was a lawyer and I charge 35 on these kind of lawsuits, I'm not taking any less because that's my standard. The least I've seen on this is 33 1/3% on these types of cases. It's just what they do. Is it outrageous? Heck yes, it's outrageous. Should it be 5 to 10%? Heck yes, it should be 5 to 10%. But you got to understand how lawyers think. They think their time is worth $500 to $25,000 an hour. That's just the way they do it.
I get that. However, there's no way that they spent close to the money. I mean, the profit that they made on this case is whopping, and the fact that they were suing for $1 billion has everything to do with the percentage. It has everything to do with the percentage, right? What it should have been, you give me your hours. We'll cover that, and then we'll give you 30% profit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's what it should have been, because that money belongs to the city of St. Louis, not a law firm. The good thing is it's a St. Louis law firm. That's the only good thing, right? If it had been a national law firm, I'd have gone ballistic. Well, guys, we ended up taking a show that I didn't think I could get 20 minutes out of and took it to 1 hour and 12. I appreciate that. We had a great discussion. I appreciate everyone that stayed along with us and joined us and talked and gave us some of that. I appreciate it so much. Ashley, any last words?
Nope. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Blues
that's
versus Colorado.
7:30 Central Standard Time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Central Daylight Time, or is it 8:30?
I thought it was 7:30.
I thought it was 7:30 St. Louis time.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
I thought it was. I'm double checking.
And I only have three.
No, it's 8:30. 8:30 Central Standard Time.
All right.
Because it's 9:30 Eastern.
I only have 3 words to say. Let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues. I got it. This is Guy, the Y Blues fan, for Lance the Scott and Ashley Jones saying aloha mahalo. And you got to know, we're all bleeding blue with you. And no, I do not think they're going to tear down the Edward Owens Dome. And that dome is not as bad as everyone says it is. That's actually a pretty nice place. Could it use some renovation? Yes. Does it need to be replaced? No. That's my opinion. Okay, aloha mahalo. See you tomorrow on the Blue Note Fan Report. If I can find the buttons.